look at plants, some are more beautiful than others. Some are taller, others shorter. Some produce colorful flowers, others do not produce flowers. Some produce seeds, while others do not produce any seeds. Therefore, it's important for us to understand how to identify plants of different types, or in other words, how to classify plants. So in this lecture, we're going to be focusing on the classification of plants. When we are working with plants, it's important for us to understand how to divide those plants on the basis of similarities or differences. The science of naming plants is called classification of plants or nomenclature. Generally speaking, plants are either non-vascular or vascular. Non-vascular plants are those that do not produce any seeds and are generally very smaller plants, for example, different mosses and lichens. Vascular plants can either be seed producing or non-seed producing. Non-seed producing plants include different ferns and hostels, while seed producing plants can either be gymnosperms or angiosperms. Gymnosperms include different conifer species, while angiosperms can either be monocots or dicots. But this entire lecture is going to be about all these different types of plants. It's important for you to understand that we will not be talking about different fungi or different mushrooms because they are not considered as plants. Although I do have one slide just to let you understand what fungi are and where do they stand when we're classifying plants. Non-vascular plants are those that do not have a vascular system. These plants are normally short and very delicate. They include mosses. For example, mosses normally cling to damp soil, rocks, shady trees. As you can see in the picture on the right hand side, they have very small or tiny leaves, and they don't have specialized roots but instead have rhizoids. They don't produce seeds, that's why they're seedless, but they do produce spores. Another example of these plants include different lichens that normally grow on trees and sometimes on the ground as well. Some fungi also have these characteristics, but they're not classified as plants. So here you see an example of lichen growing on a tree. Here's another example of lichen growing on a branch of a tree, and this is an example of moss. Here are some examples of different fungi. When you look at these fungi, you will probably say that they are some kind of plants, but all fungi, they have their own kingdom, and they have a lot of differences from plants. For example, they don't have cellulose in the cell wall, but instead they have chitin. So fungi cannot be classified as plants, so we will not include fungi any further in this lecture. Vascular plants are those that have a specialized and well-defined vascular system. They're further divided into seed-producing plants or seedless plants. So vascular plants are divided into seedless and seed-producing plants. An example of seedless plants will be fern, different kinds of ferns that grow all over the world. So they generally grow taller and thicker in order to let the spores disperse. Seed-producing plants are further divided into two groups, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Gymnosperms include different conifers and cycads. They do not produce flowers, and they're considered as the oldest seed-producing plants. They normally grow in dry and cold climates, and they do use methods of sexual reproduction. The seeds generally produce on female cones. Cones, if you don't know what cones are, uh, I have shown you an example of a cone in this picture, but I'm sure you do know what cones are in conifers. There's another example, just to let you know how conifers and cycads look like. Angiosperms are flower-producing plants, and they're the largest division of plants. Um, they live in almost any kind of climate and anywhere in the world. In these plants, seeds are produced inside the brood, and they do use methods of sexual reproduction that include pollination. An example of these plants will be different kinds of fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts. These plants are further divided into monocots and dicots. So they're divided on the basis of the number of cotyledons, something that we will be studying, we will be learning in the coming slides. So monocots are the seeds that only have one cotyledon in their seed, and they generally have one leaf when the seed germinates. Dicots are the seeds that have two cotyledons in their seeds. For example, beans, roses, and cacti, and they generally have two leaves when the seeds germinate, as you can see in the picture on the right hand side. So that's it as far as the classification of plants is concerned. A few more things that I would like to talk about in this lecture. Parts of the plant and what are they for, what's their purpose. So seeds, you all know what seeds are. They are meant to produce plant babies, in order to propagate plants have roots in order to uptake water from the soil, anchor the plant to the ground, and they also help with stopping erosion. Plants also have stems which holds the plant in place and transport water and nutrients to other plant. The plants also have leaves which make food for the plant, that is, leaves help the plant with preparing their own food and allow the plant to produce flowers that attract pollinators in order to help the plant with reproduction. And what are the basic things that plants require in order to survive? They need water, and they need carbon dioxide, and the presence of sunlight in order to carry out the process of photosynthesis, which is preparation of their own food. In other words, plants produce their own food in the form of carbohydrates that are further utilized by plants for other purposes as well. For example, growth, reproduction, and defense, etc. So that's it. This was a lecture for today. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section below, or you can email me, or you can ask me on the LMS portal. Thank you very much.